Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Joker. Hey y'all, hey, welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
Hello, I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura, and we're sisters who watch everything, TV, movie, sports, concerts, and even imprisoned villains singing in dream sequences. We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Joker. Foile, Deux, the musical sequel to the 2019 Oscar award-winning film. I hope y'all liked my French accents. Yes, we are reviewing Joker 2.
Brava. That's not French.
Merci.
Okay, before we get into our review of Joker Folie Deux, please make sure you're giving Sisters Who Watch 5 stars wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, and you can rate, subscribe, download our episodes. Yeah, and follow us on all of our social medias at Sisters Who Watch. Thank you. Okay,
Yes,
Shelby, give us the background.
As always,
Joker Folie
here
Deux.
is the log line for the film. Struggling with his dual identity, failed comedian Arthur Fleck meets the love of his life, Harley Quinn, while incarcerated at Arkham State Hospital. As we mentioned, right, this is the sequel to the 2009 movie Joker, which was released October 4th, 2019, directed by Todd Phillips, distributed by Warner Brothers, and of course based on the Joker comics. I'm from DC. And this movie in 2019 crushed the box office. It hit over $1 billion worldwide. It was the highest grossing R-rated film of all time until Deadpool and Wolverine came in 2024, a few months ago. But this movie was a huge success, and Joaquin Phoenix finally won his Oscar for the titular character of Joker. So not only did the original movie crush the box office, but it was critically acclaimed and won Oscars.
Oscar award winning. Yes, what did you think of the 2019 movie?
I remember being pleasantly surprised. I'm not always into dark stuff, and it seems like the DC comics just try to be as dark as possible. The polar opposite of Marvel. DC is like gritty, and I like Batman. So I've always liked the Dark Knight movies. Like I've been more of a Batman girly historically, but DC has struggled lately. What about you?
Yeah, I remember our brother was really excited about it. I was like, I don't care. I remember seeing it kind of begrudgingly because there's 12,000 Batman movies. There's been like 8 different Jokers. I'm like, why is there another Joker movie? But I remember also thinking that it was good. Check out our episode when we do our most highly anticipated movies of 2024. Yes. We talk about Joker 2. And I remember you told me that it was a musical. And I was like, what? I literally was like, what are you talking about? Why would they make a sequel, period? And why would it be a musical? It just doesn't, lots of it doesn't make sense.
So, Joker Folie Deux had basically the same auspices as the original movie, right? Todd Phillips back to direct, Joaquin Phoenix back in the titular role, but it also added the one and only Lady Gaga.
Of course.
Who we know, right, from amazing music back when we were growing up. I can remember dancing to Just Dance in middle school dances.
Of course.
But, she's pivoted into acting. And I'd say her best role being in A Star is Born. Would you agree with that?
But what else has she been in besides A Star is Born? Like, I actually can't think of anything else that she's been in.
House of Gucci.
Who saw that movie? Literally, who saw that movie? I forgot that existed.
So yeah, she has not done that much since A Star is Born, but she still is a big draw. So I think adding her was smart in the role of Harley Quinn, especially if you're going to have a musical, have someone who actually is good at singing. It's important.
Yeah.
If you listen to our most anticipated episode, I had it as my number 5 title that I was looking forward to this year. But because I was a little confused, I was like, okay, the Joker's coming back. It has nothing to do with like the DC cinematic universe. It's its own film. And you have Lady Gaga and it's a musical. Like it just was confusing. I didn't understand how it was going to come together. So I was very intrigued. And now that I've seen it, I was probably intrigued for the wrong reasons. Definitely did not deliver. So I think most of the world feels the same way because this film has flopped at the box office. In its opening weekend, it earned $37 million worldwide, which pales in comparison to what people had hoped for. People were predicting at least a 70 million box office debut. 37 is a far cry from 70. And what's crazy is in 2019, when the original movie came out, Joker earned 39 million in the box office on Friday alone of its opening weekend.
Yikes.
So that one Friday, it earned more than its entire opening weekend for the sequel film. Make it make sense.
Not good.
That's a pretty big dip. And on top of that, the buzz and word of mouth has been really bad for the film. I first heard about the muted negative response when it premiered at the Venice Film Festival a few weeks ago. And you usually hear about all of the standing ovations and like the applause and how excited people were. And you did not hear that about Joker 2. People were not feeling it, so right away I was a little concerned. Do we even understand why it's called Foile Adieu? Do you know what that means?
No, I had to look it up like 10 minutes ago. Because I was like, what does that even mean? Because we were like, how do you even pronounce it? And then by looking up the pronunciation, we find out that Folie à Deux, it means shared psychosis or shared delusional disorder, SDD, a psychiatric syndrome in which symptoms of delusional belief are transmitted from one individual to another. I mean, they never explained that in the movie. I also was like, is there going to be a French element to this? That's also...
The whole time I was looking for the French influence. I'm so confused.
You know, now looking it up, I'm like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. But it just... Yeah, the title was strange.
Very.
Like what we were alluding to, my expectations were very high for this movie, right? Because the first one crushed. Everyone was talking about it. It won Oscars, right? It was in our most anticipated movie. It had Lady Gaga. I felt like this movie was set up to succeed. Wouldn't you agree?
Big time. Yes. It was a sequel to the highest grossing R-rated movie at the time. Like you said, it added Lady Gaga. It's based on a DC comic book character. And not all comic book movies have been doing well. We know that. But this one had.
A friend of mine, we were talking about going, and she was like, oh, I heard like bad things. I heard some interesting things about the movie. I was like, what are you talking about? I hadn't heard anything negative. And she was like, oh, critics are, destroying the movie. I said, what? They're like, it's weird. It's not good. So I heard that like the day before I saw it. So then I was like, okay, maybe I should lower my very high expectations.
Screaming.
So that's... Did you have favorite moments, Shelby? Tell me about them.
Did I? No, I did. Honestly, the cartoon opening was my favorite part of the film, and I honestly think the movie should have ended there. After the first 5 minutes, I was good.
Short film.
Yeah, Joker Foile à Deux should have just been a short film of the cartoon of Joker and his shadow. I thought it was,
that was
funny
good.
And clever, and the shadow literally looked like Joaquin Phoenix. I was like, I don't know how they animated this, but he's walking like him and looks like him. I thought it was so clever. And that was a very, entertaining way to start the movie. So I was like, wow, oh my gosh, what are we in for? But we never really go back to that. And it makes me think, was that just to set the stage that this was about Arthur Fleck fighting with the Joker the entire movie and, trying to decide who would come out on top? I guess. It was setting the stage for that, but it wasn't very clear.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the cartoon opening was really good. And it gave a recap of the last movie because I had friends who were like, oh, I gotta watch the original. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I think it showed the mental health issues in a really interesting way. Arthur's just trying to, be a comedian and do his thing. And then there's the shadow inside of him that's setting him up and doing all these menacing things. And then the shadow just goes away. Being like, I didn't do anything. That was you. So I think it set up the movie in a good way. But yeah, that was it. And it was only 5 minutes long. you liked Brendan Gleeson's character, Shelby.
I did. He was like the Irish. He's like a jail security guard. I don't really know the term.
But, like, was it a jail? It was a hospital?
Insane asylum. I mean,
Like,
they were
was
in
it an
prison
insane
cells.
asylum? Like, that was also confusing. It's like, were they even in a jail?
I think so, because he killed someone.
Right. So, because then they had people like Lady Gaga and those people in
In
music
like a
class.
separate insane asylum.
And I'm like, is this a hospital? Like, I thought that was unclear. I was like, where are they?
It was unclear. But so yes, I liked Brendan Gleeson's character, who was a prison guard
Corrections
in the
officer.
Arkham prison side of the building. I like that it felt like his character had a bit more dimension to him, if that makes sense. Like, in particular, when we see him get Arthur into the music class, it's like, oh, do you actually like care for Arthur? Are you trying to be friendly? Or is it because you just like music? Like, I'm like, who is this guy? But it felt like he had a bit more dimension to him, where the other guys were just mean.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he was solid.
I guess I'm grasping at straws.
Yeah,
or like the redeeming parts of people's characters.
Dimensional? Like, I don't really remember that. A highlight for me, I don't know if it was like super enjoyable, but I thought it was interesting. Somehow this movie turned into like a court drama. It
was like Anatomy of a Fall meets Suicide Squad. And I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, I was like, wait, is this like
not supposed to be a courtroom drama?
Yes, it was giving the courtroom drama.
I'm not watching How to Go with Murder.
Yes, and I was like,
figure it out.
So it turned into a courtroom drama. And when when Arthur fired his attorney and then was like, I'm gonna represent myself, I was like, oh no. But when I swear, when we first saw him in the courtroom with his makeup on, I actually like screamed in the theater because he was just sitting there like in a suit, full clown makeup.
Literally a clown.
So funny. Everyone in the theater was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, my theater was quite active.
Oh really?
They're like, really, bro? Like, there was one guy who was like, this guy, like kept on,
Yeah.
I was like, ain't no way they would actually let this happen. The judge was like, as long as it's not distracting, he can wear whatever he wants. I was like, what courtroom is this? Mm-hmm. You're letting this man dress like a clown in the courtroom?
So funny.
But that was very funny when jump cut to his face. And then he was talking in that really strange Southern accent that kind of felt like satire. Like, they always have these attorneys, talking in these like Southern accents, maybe a little To Kill a Mockingbird a bit. So I thought
our
that
brother
was like,
said that he felt like it was channeling To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes. So I thought that was like kind of funny. I was like, what is this voice? He's trying to be like this old-timey Southern lawyer.
Yeah.
So I thought that was absurd.
It was hard to find favorite moments, but I agree. I guess that was a much needed laugh.
Yes.
Throughout the film.
And someone who I talked to and I was reading reviews was like, where was the funny?
It wasn't there.
It wasn't there. It was not like, because the first one was dark. I mean, I don't remember.
Like darkly comedic, maybe?
Yes, I think it had more moments of levity. Mm-hmm. But this, like, there was no laughter, which was strange. On the least favorite moments, this is a bit lengthier. I mean, I will say, I do like musicals. I love theater. I love like just music in general, singing, everything. I love all that stuff. But the musical moments in this movie, they felt so strange to me. Like when they were in the back and they would have these like swirling like violins and stuff. I was like, what? I just don't think the music felt really awkward and jarring. When Arthur was like staring at the TV in the hospital, prison, whatever it was, and then he started singing Stevie Wonder, I actually was like, I was so taken aback. And he's like kind of dancing around. I thought that I was like, where am I? Like, I could not believe what I was watching.
I don't get it's like, oh, is this a jukebox musical where you guys are doing like karaoke?
Right.
Or you have like original songs? Like covered? Yeah, it just wasn't adding up. And I think the problem is, if you're going to do a musical, you better lean into the musical.
Full send. Why are we covering Stevie
better
Wonder?
Be full send, yeah.
And why are we singing You Don't Know What It's Like to Love Somebody? Like, why are we covering? I literally got the same thing. I was like, why are we covering songs?
They kept talking about building a mountain, and I didn't really know what that meant. Like, yeah, we're gonna build a mountain. And then they had that, like, soulful building a mountain sequence where they have, like, a gospel choir and Lady Gaga's on the piano, and I'm like, what is happening? I literally felt like a different movie. It didn't feel right. You had Joker, like, dancing.
Oh, he's like tap dancing? Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah. I was like, fucking Venus is tap dancing? So strange.
Yeah, it just felt like they didn't know what movie it was. And, like, those scenes didn't work when you had, like, Joaquin being, like, beaten to a pulp by the prison guards. Like, it was very jarring to have a soulful musical scene and, like, this, like, gritty prison scene in the same movie.
It was trying to have some of the elements from the original, right? Gritty, dark, violent.
Yeah.
And then they also were trying to have it be a courtroom drama. And then, like, Sister Act. It's like, what's going on? Something else I was wondering, did you understand why, like, the Joker was so popular? Why everyone was rooting for him? Was I missing something? I was like, why does he have so many fans?
Yeah, I don't think they did a good job explaining that.
No.
I feel like in the first movie, and I haven't seen it since 2019, maybe they show how he, like, represents the outlaws and the people that do have mental health issues, and he makes the outsiders feel represented. To your point, there should be a shift or a change once you know this guy has, like, murdered Murray Franklin live on TV. Like, literally? He's not the same, like, outcast supporting the, outliers. He's not an advocate for you like he was pre-murder.
Right, pre-murder. It just felt so disconnected. They didn't explain that at all. And I think they did explain why people really resonated with him in the first movie, but they didn't explain that in this at all.
No. And it's interesting because I saw this movie with our brother and mom. I didn't notice this, but something they said, and it makes them think of, like, the cult of celebrity and even, like, Trumpism, how, like, some people are just, like, crazily fans and supporters of people, even when it doesn't make sense, right? Even when they've done bad things. And I was like, like, maybe that's a good point, right? Like, Trump can be a convicted felon, and people are still gonna go to his rallies and vote for him.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. But the cult of a celebrity, just, like, the fandom, like, he can do no wrong kind of thing.
And, like, what he represents. Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Something else, the explosion. I kid you not, the end of this movie, I was like, what is happening? He basically, the Joker confesses and says to the jury, that was me. That was Arthur. That Joker isn't real. Like, he said that in the closing statement. And then, the jury says, Arthur's guilty on all counts. So Arthur loses. Then immediately after, there's this huge explosion that blows up the whole courtroom. Shelby, what did you think of that?
It left me with a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Who blew it up? We never found that out.
No.
Why have him escape to be captured again? You have this big explosion. Somehow no one else is awake after the explosion but Joker, and he's able to walk out and be saved by Joker lookalikes. That's your happy ending. Ride off into the sunset. You pick up Harley Quinn and you leave.
Right.
But instead, you have him get captured again. So what was the point of the explosion? To blow up a set?
To blow up your budget even more?
Yeah, your $200 million budget that you're not going to get back because the movie's bombing. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, okay, the Joker is not, right? He killed 6 people. He admitted to another murder. I was like, what? It's like, what's up with Arthur?
He admitted to killing his mom, which is nuts.
That Like, what? When he
That
did
was
that, I was
bad.
like, it's over for him.
The jury thought that was the last
They were
straw,
like,
I'm sure.
smothering your mom? Oh my gosh.
Nothing redeeming about this guy anymore.
So I was like, okay, the Joker clearly is not a great person, right? Like,
No.
he killed 6 people. This man needs to be locked up. He clearly kind of threw in the towel, fired his lawyer. He gave up, right? Like, in the closing statement, he gave up.
He really
And
did.
then when the explosion happened, I was like, what? Like, we're letting him get away? I was just, Arthur finally came to terms with, what he did. And it felt like accountability, finally. And then for him to get away, I was like, okay, so no accountability? And then, right, you see him,
Girl.
in the back of the car, and this was a jarring scene. He runs out the car. Why do you think he ran out of the car? Because they were trying to get him to freedom. That didn't make sense to me.
Our brother was like, oh, maybe he wanted to see Harley one last time.
I think that's what it was. Because he went to the stairs.
Yeah.
I think assuming that she would be there.
Be there. When she left the courtroom, when you said who you were, you should have known she was done with you then.
I know. And kind of like what you were saying before, it just shows that all these fake fans, Harley clearly didn't actually like him. She was just obsessed with the celebrity. And the minute that she was like, I'm just Arthur, she was like, I'm done.
You're not Joker. I want a Joker.
She wanted
Joker. And
Joker.
I was trying to understand why she was so into Joker in the first place. Like, we didn't get enough of her backstory.
No,
it was
we just knew she was a pathological liar.
Literally. And like, she came from a rich family and she like had a college degree. She was faking. And it's like, wait, what? She checked herself into the place and was able to check herself out?
I'm like, how was that
adding up?
None of it made sense.
Yeah,
her background didn't make sense. Why was she so obsessed with him? Lots of questions. Yeah, I think he escaped the car to try and see Harley one more time. And then, to just have the police come get him. I was like,
how did they know he was there?
Yeah, I didn't understand how they found him. And, okay. The actual ending. Arthur's back. They arrest him. He's in the hospital prison place that he was in before. What did you think of this man coming in being like, I have a joke for you?
A prison guard is like, Fleck, you have a visitor. I'm like, who's visiting this clown? Like, after all this, he's no fans. It's not Harley. He fired his lawyer. I'm like, who could possibly be visiting him?
I know, right?
And then the prison guard leaves him in the hallway all alone. And then you have this other inmate show up and ask him to tell him a joke. Right away, I was like, where's the prison guard? Like,
I was thinking that too.
Why would you leave Fleck all alone? I didn't think the inmate was going to stab Fleck and kill him, but I was confused. I was like, it was fishy. So then this inmate who we had seen a few times, but I
did not remember him at all.
He had kind of been in like the corner of various shots, like looking kind of menacing, but I didn't remember him. I don't remember his name, For him to tell this joke to Joker that wasn't even funny and then stab him to death, it made me think, what was the point of this film? What did I just watch? It literally no point. There was no happy ending. I left being annoyed. It felt like a very kind of pointless ending. So I watched all of this just for Arthur to be killed by another inmate.
Right? I felt the same way. I was like, this is how it ends? Yeah. Just for him to get stabbed? It just felt... I just didn't understand why. Like, what was the point? Like, did he learn? No. Like, why wasn't he killed before? The ending was just bad. I just thought it didn't make any sense. And it was very anticlimactic. I literally was like, this isn't how it ends. My friend and I were like, this can't be how it ends. I guess I didn't think about it this way. Do you think it was a setup? Like, do you think the guards were in on it? They must have been, right?
I think it was. There was no way that inmate gets a knife on his own, right? Like a dagger to kill someone. And the fact that the guard conveniently leaves him alone in this hallway, doesn't turn around to come get him.
I know.
If it falls behind you, you would go be like, come on, Fleck, hurry up. You wouldn't just leave him in the hallway alone. It was a setup for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. I didn't really connect that until now. I did think it was sus. I was like, why do you leave? But I guess the guard was in on it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Shelby, are you ready for our categories?
I am.
Who or what from Joker Foile Adieu did you love to hate?
Sequels. We have said this before, and I will say it again. You do not need to make a sequel unless there is story for it, unless it makes sense. Clearly, Joker did not need a sequel.
No, there was not enough story. I remember reading some of the reviews because I was like, why is everyone hating on this movie so much? Because after leaving it, I was like, okay, I see why people didn't like it. I didn't hate it though. And then reading some of the reviews and right now talking it out with you, I'm like, there like nothing really happened in the movie. Like it was literally just like in the hospital, meets Harley, goes to court, and then he dies. The first one was good. It didn't warrant a sequel. But they got greedy, as all these franchises do, as we've talked about. Yeah.
And it's tough because sometimes sequels can be great, right? Sometimes they can be well done, well executed, and there's more story that's actually to be told. But a lot of times that is not the case. So another cautionary tale, people, only make sequels if it makes sense.
And maybe let's stop making Batman movies, but that's not going to happen because there's like
We
a
honestly
Robert
need a
Pattinson.
break. DC needs to like take a long break because it has not been good.
No. And I looked up when I was looking up this movie, I saw that there's going to be like a new Batman with Robert Pattinson like next year.
Count me out.
Stop. I will not be watching. I didn't watch the first one with Robert Pattinson. It's like, stop
you
with the Batman
the first
movie.
one?
No. No, why would I see that? Why would I see that?
I like Batman, and they just keep messing it up.
Stop it. Stop it.
Gotta go back to the Michael Keaton, Christian Bale days, back when Batman was good.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Something else for this category, musicals, as we talked about. I do really like musicals. And we talked about the Mean Girls movie that came out earlier this year. I thought that was pretty good. But this, they didn't even have enough creativity to write all original songs. They had to do Stevie Wonder covers. And the songs felt like, it was very jarring. Like, all of a sudden they'd be having a really serious conversation, then Lady Gaga would just start singing. And I was like, stop it. Yeah, I think the musical numbers here just did not work. They thought it's a really interesting idea, and I think they were like, musical Joker. And I think it could have been really good. I just think it was executed in such like a bizarre way. Yes, they didn't commit enough.
It needs to be like Wicked in the Heights level if you're gonna do a musical. It can't
why didn't we have like dance sequences? Why didn't we have like
it needs to be La La Land. Like you better make it an actual musical, because if it's like, you can't be like halfway in, halfway out, right? You need to decide what it's going to be, because a half executed musical is going to be this result, and people are not. Musical fans will be happy, superhero fans will be happy, like no one's going to be happy.
I think there was like too much music. Like it felt like they were singing a lot. I think they could have done few, like they didn't need the Stevie Wonder cover. Like I thought that was bizarre. But I think they should have done less music and more full send on the musical sequences. Like, why didn't we have like a flash mob? Like, there was no dancing. The only dancing we got was when Joaquin Phoenix was like doing tap dancing
to the mountain song. Also, where was Die with a Smile? I'm confused. Is that not a part of the movie?
Thing.
Isn't it on the soundtrack?
Yes.
I'm like confused.
We're talking about the new Bruno Mars Lady Gaga song, Die with a Smile. I literally thought the same thing. I was like, was that not going to be in the movie? Why? Like, that song's actually good. Why didn't they do that? I would have loved to see Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga sing that song. It wasn't in the end credits. Opportunity. I'm like, where was it? I thought the same exact thing.
Also, do you believe that Joaquin and Lady Gaga sing live on set? That's what people are saying.
I did not think that. Because Lady Gaga, her voice is so strong and powerful. In the movie, she was like barely moving her mouth. And her voice was like so loud and like crisp. Yeah. I was like, ain't no way. It looked like she was whispering. So no.
That's what they're saying, that they sing live. Sound off, folks, if you think that's true. The other thing I'll say about love to hate is trailers, particularly misleading trailers. Did you see the trailer for this movie, Joker Foile Deux, when it was being
Yeah.
promoted?
Yeah.
For me, they made it seem like it would be more of like an action film, and Joaquin would be dancing and fighting and in the streets. He
Mm-hmm.
was in prison or a courtroom the entire time. There were multiple scenes. They show him dancing on those iconic stairs. He never danced on those
Wait,
stairs in the
yeah,
film.
he never danced on the stairs.
It's like, stop creating trailers that entice people and make it seem like the movie's one way, and then we come to the theater and it's completely different. You
Yeah.
sold me a different vision. I feel scammed.
Yeah, I'm with you. I remember seeing online a lot of people were like, where was the action? There was
No,
no action. Like no
nothing.
fighting
No fighting.
scenes. None. Isn't it strange?
It's really
No
strange.
fighting scenes. The only things we saw stabbing in the last 10 seconds of the movie. I'm like, that wasn't really
And
action.
then beating up Joker. Them like throwing him around.
Yeah.
Banging his head against the walls a million times.
And then in his dream when he was like smacking
oh, the judge's head.
the
I
judge's
like
head
couldn't
with the
look.
gavel.
I had to like cover my face.
I know.
It was too much.
And I was like, and I'm like, those aren't really action. Like
No.
that was not action
It
at
was
all to me.
gratuitous violence.
Yeah, it was just like not fun violence. For hate to hate, what do you have?
The whole film? No, kidding,
Oh.
kidding. It just felt like there was no plot. There was no character development. There was no growth.
No.
So I'm like, is it the storyline? Is it the writing? Like, I think if the story is inherently flawed, then when you film it and edit it, it's just not going to come together. Like, there wasn't like a growth for any of the characters from point A to point B. Maybe you could say Arthur Fleck grew because he decided that he was going to own his mistakes, right? And I'm not Joker. I wasn't insane. I knew what I was doing. Like, maybe he grew a bit. Besides that, it just felt like there wasn't really a lot of growth or transformation or depth in the story or the characters.
I think the writing was just not great because the story didn't really make sense. There wasn't enough background information.
Yeah.
And right, the only person who grew was Arthur, but then he just ended up getting stabbed. Like, it did not, it just felt like, what was the point of him growing and coming to terms with his mental health and the murders for him to just get stabbed and die on the floor of the hospital? For this category, I have, right, the transformations in Lee. I don't know how you felt, but didn't it just seem like, it just felt like I was watching Lady Gaga. She wasn't giving Harley Quinn to me. I was like, where is Harley Quinn? Because also her voice, her singing voice is so, so unique and distinct.
Yeah.
Every time she sang, I was like, this is just a Lady Gaga concert. I literally was like, where is the Harley Quinn?
Yeah.
And she's not a bad actress. Like, I think she's a decent actress. It just felt like she didn't transform. It felt like it was just Lady Gaga. Especially, when she was like, mountains on the mountains.
Yeah.
She was in that like blonde wig and like that little dress. I was like, this is just Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I felt like she was performing like You and I.
Right. It was not giving Harley Quinn to me.
That's fair. I know there's a lot of people out there upset that she didn't get enough screen time. Like, apparently she was only in the film for 33 minutes, which surprises me. I thought she was in it like more than that, but who knows?
Interesting.
I think she was underutilized, but maybe it was her acting or her performance, but it just felt like, to your point, I think she's a better actress than what she was given to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's whose fault it is, but if you have Lady Gaga in your movie, you should probably use her more than how you did.
Yeah. I feel like when she was...
is like a fun character too, right? She could go really crazy with it and exciting and interesting, and it was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, that's the thing. Harley Quinn has so much personality, right? Margot Robbie, Miss Harvey. Her Harley Quinn is like 12 out of 10, right? And has so much energy, chaotic all over the place. And Lady Gaga felt really muted and like phoned in. Like, she didn't have that much personality. And it's like, where was the bat? Right? Like, what's going on? Where is everything about Harley Quinn that makes Harley Quinn Harley Quinn? It was not in the movie.
Not there.
Right? I look more like Harley Quinn than Lady Gaga ever did.
Laura, they could have cast you in the film.
I'm wearing a Harley Quinn little shirt right now. Do you have anything for Love to Love?
Um, that opening scene, the cartoon, I thought
Yeah.
that was great.
Yeah. I can say I
Yeah.
appreciate that they took a big swing. I can
Yes,
appreciate that.
that
Like,
is
it
fair.
was creative in the fact that, like, I was excited. I was like, a Joker musical with Lady Gaga. Like, the premise, I think it's
Yeah.
really interesting. And I was excited to see what they were going to do. And then when I heard it was bad, I was really surprised. So I appreciate that they tried something
Mm-hmm.
like a gritty, dramatic
Mm-hmm.
musical. I like that idea.
Yeah, it's different.
It just it didn't work.
Now that I think about it, maybe the design. Like, I think the setting, the production design, the costume design, they really leaned into the grittiness and the darkness. So I think that was successful. Like, you felt like you were really in the world of Gotham and Arkham.
Yeah. Okay, Shelby, are you ready for red flag, green flag, 1, 2, 3?
I am.
Okay, is it a red flag to stop supporting your man? Like Lee was all for Arthur the whole time and then she turned on him real quick.
I don't think it's generally a red flag, but I think for Lee, it's definitely red because it shows she didn't really care about him in the first place.
Mm-hmm,
Like,
mm-hmm.
it felt like she was only supporting the Arthur she wanted, which was Joker.
Yes.
Like, she wasn't really supporting the real Arthur. Because the
No.
second he was like, "Oh, I'm not Joker, I'm me," she was like, "I don't want you. I want your alter ego." So, like, I
Yeah.
feel like that's a bit of red flag because it's like, whoa, you clearly didn't really care about this person. And ideally, when he's about to get sent to prison is when he needs you more, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's when he actually needs you to support him. So I feel like it's red for Lee. But I think in general, if there are reasons to stop supporting your man, stop supporting him. Let him go.
Lee should
Peace
have
out.
stopped supporting. She shouldn't have been supporting Joker in the first place.
Exactly.
Like, murdered 6 people.
What does it
So
say to her?
yeah, don't support him, period. And the fact that when he's actually taking accountability, she's like, nah, I'm done. It's like, okay, girl.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, ugh, not good for Harley.
No.
No. Okay, Laura. Speaking of alter egos and personalities, is it a green flag to have an alter ego? Like Arthur with the Joker, or even
Mm.
Beyonce with Sasha Fierce?
Not a green flag to have a murderous alter ego. I'll say that. That's definitely a red flag. I think it can help, compartmentalize, give you confidence, right?
Yeah.
Because Arthur Fleck was, clearly really insecure, but Joker was like his stage presence, and that gave him
Yes.
confidence and stuff. So generally, I think it's green, but of course, a murderous, mentally unstable alter ego is
That's
not
bad.
good. Yeah, or having like a personality disorder, not a green.
Very much red. But I agree with you. I think there can be situations, and you hear a lot with performers, like whether it's Beyonce or Tina Turner, when they go on stage, they become someone else and they lean into that to help them have confidence and really get
Yes.
into the performance. So I think stuff like that's fine.
Shelby, is Joker Folie à Deux? Is it a wait or a watch?
Big weight energy.
Oh.
Felt like a waste of time and money. I feel bad that my mom had to pay for us to see it.
Wow.
I am very disappointed because it wasn't one of my most anticipated titles and it just did not deliver. And
No.
I personally had not seen a movie in theaters since Deadpool Wolverine, so it had been months. It's honestly taken me a lot to go to a theater these days, which is crazy because I feel like I used to love going to movies all the time. But to actually go, pay for a ticket, all of it, I'm like, okay, it better be a good movie. And Joker 2 was not a good movie. We tried so hard not to fall asleep during it. And I remember our mom kept nudging me, like, don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep. And I really thought I didn't fall asleep. But then during the credits, I saw Zazie Beetz' name and I was like, when was Zazie Beetz in the movie? My brother was like, oh, in the courtroom, she was one of the witnesses. And I was like, oh, I did fall asleep because
That's so
I
funny.
did not see her.
Oopsies.
So if you do see it, don't see an evening showing in the dark after a long day. That is
No.
not the answer. Like me, that was
Yes.
not good.
I honestly, after first watching it, I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad. I remember because everyone was
Yeah.
trashing it online. I was like, okay, it wasn't horrible. But it's interesting talking out now, hearing your perspective. I do agree. I think it's because the plot really did not make sense.
There was nothing there. 2 hours and 20 minutes of fluff.
It's really disappointing because I really wanted to love this movie. I definitely thought it was boring. Like you, I saw it at 2:30 and I was kind of dozing a little bit and I was like, okay, I have to stay awake. So I didn't actually fall asleep, but I found myself getting sleepy watching it. I was like, oh no. I'm not as like a super hard wait. If you want to be part of the conversation, like see it.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting movie. I think it was pretty wild. I still can't believe what I saw. I think it's worth it if you want to be a part of the conversation, like talk to people about it, because it is very buzzy. Everyone's like, it's so bad, and you want to know why. So, I didn't think it was the worst thing, but it wasn't great.
So, on to our What to Watch segment. If this episode has gotten you so excited about Joker, you want to watch the OG film, it's currently streaming on Max. You also can listen to Die With a Smile, even though it was not in the film, and unclear if it's actually on the soundtrack or not.
Get Bruno his Oscar.
But it's a great song. So
yeah,
if you
maybe you'll get a nomination.
Want to hear some good music related to Joker, tune into that. And if you're looking for more DC comic content, you can start the new Penguin miniseries on Max. I actually did watch the pilot episode, and this was before seeing Joker. And I was like, oh yeah, this is solid. And now that I've seen Joker, I'm like, whoa, this is so much better than Joker 2. Not even close. It stars Colin Farrell as the Penguin. He was in the Robert Pattinson Batman. So Laura, you probably don't know much about him because he was in that movie. And he like really transforms, and it's basically like his kind of origin story gives like Goodfellas, The Departed vibes, like a crime mob story set in Gotham City, very gritty, but actually has character development. It has a female showrunner. Like it is, from what I saw, right, just one episode, a lot better than Joker 2.
I'm just dying for more DC content after watching Joker. Yay!
Can't wait.
And on that note, if you enjoyed this episode of Sisters Who Watch, please give us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. That would mean the world to us. Yes. 5 stars. Yes, give us a follow on Apple, Spotify, all our social media platforms at Sisters Who Watch. And yeah, you can support us by buying our merch on our website, sisterswhowatch.com, and activating listener support on Spotify. And we also have Zelle, so you can Zelle us too, sisterswhowatch@gmail.com.
Yes, we really want to hear from y'all. You can now comment on our Spotify episodes and, of course, on social media and YouTube. You can DM us on Instagram as well as emailing us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Please give us suggestions, feedback, whatever. We're grateful for y'all and your support.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Stay watching.